At least 10 Palestinians have been killed in an Israeli airstrike in Gaza. That's according to the Hamas-run civil defence authorities. Well, this footage has just come into us at Sky News, showing the immediate aftermath of the Israeli military strike on the school in Gaza City. The strike hit the school in the west of Gaza this morning. The IDF says Hamas militants were operating from the compound. Well, local authorities in Gaza say a number of families were sheltering in the school where 10 people have been killed. Hamas have denied the allegations it was using the compound for military purposes. The IDF confirmed the strike in a statement saying the Israeli Air Force conducted a precise strike on terrorists who were operating within a Hamas command and control centre. The centre was embedded and hidden by the Hamas terrorist organisation inside the Mustafa Haft school compound in Gaza City. The statement goes on, prior to the strike, numerous steps were taken to mitigate the risk of harming civilians, including the use of precise munitions, aerial surveillance and additional intelligence. Well, Sky's international correspondent Alex Rossi has outlined what's at stake during ceasefire talks in Doha.
The ceasefire negotiations are sort of continuing or about to continue towards the end of this week in Egypt. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Cairo. He's been meeting President Sisi, having discussions there. Yesterday he met with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to try and force kind of progress through with these negotiations. But behind the scenes, I think Israeli officials and also officials from Hamas as well are pretty sceptical of what this, of whether or not progress can be made. There are still major gaps between the two parties, and as you were saying, the stakes could not be higher. The misery and destruction continues in Gaza, and on top of that, there is, of course, the real possibility of a wider regional escalation. We've had actually, in the last hour or so, some comments from Hamas. The US President Joe Biden has accused them of backing away from the deal. This is the original deal, known as the Biden proposal, that was put forward in late May. But Hamas are saying that that is misleading and doesn't really reflect their position at all. As far as they're concerned, they have broadly accepted what has been previously put on the table, but they claim that within the bridging proposal, and the details of those haven't been made public, they haven't, the Americans have essentially moved the goalposts nearer to the new Israeli positions, and some of those contentious points remain, which are a major sticking point for the deal. One of those, of course, is that Prime Minister Netanyahu is insisting that Israeli troops will be able to go along the corridor inside Gaza with Egypt, but Hamas says only a complete withdrawal will allow them to back any deal. So the possibility of progress is still there. Officials are hopeful. They are trying to present an optimistic front, but behind the scenes, it seems as though the seeds are perhaps there for all of this to fall apart. And as I was saying, that opens up the possibility of a much wider regional escalation, with the Iranians and Hezbollah still threatening powerful retaliation for the assassination of political leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, in Tehran on July the 31st, and hours before that, the elimination by an Israeli airstrike of a senior Hezbollah commander, Fouad Shakur. So, the possibility of a wider conflagration is still very much there.